It's true. I do such a different job when I'm in front of people, even if I can't see them, with the live audience. Just to see questions come up, I get so much more excited. Whereas when I'm just recording stuff and nobody's on the other end of the line and I know they're just watching later, oh, I'm dead.
So you're going to do my Pluralsight, half of all Pluralsight videos impersonation, ready?
Okay, yes, sir.
Well, you can see by the query, and you can kick up all the
Oh.
and all of a sudden we have a SQL server, and then on this SQL we run it doesn't work.
I haven't seen that issue with the videos I've selected at least.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's like within the same video you'll have different audio, and then in the background, there's always something going in the background.
Oh, man. It would be better if they kind of rubber band your head to the microphone to kind of force you to stay in close all the time. That would at least, because until you see a professional working a microphone, I'm like, why would you have your mouth on the microphone? That's disgusting. There's got to be like spit involved. But then you hear the difference in audio, and you're like, oh wow, that actually makes a difference. Yep. Same thing with the microphone quality and all that. Because now I used to be really tolerant of bad audio, bad microphone, and I watch even the training videos that we did 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I'm like, no.
Some of them are really bad.
Echoey audio, and you can hear the acoustics of the room, man.
Was that just a technology issue, or just more experience these days?
More experience and more money. When you get started, you use a $30 Yeti microphone, and it sits on the desk, and you're surrounded by all walls that have no covering, and so it just picks up every echo. Yeah, that's really tough. And then gradually you work up to fancier microphones. So there was a time when I was using like a $1,000 microphone, but I was using it completely wrong. I'm shooting it from like 6 feet away, expecting it to pick things up.
Yeah, you could do great things with the $60 mic because it depends what's behind it as well,
Yeah, the person.
Well, on both ends. How about
Yes, you gradually learn more and more. And like now, so I used to do the green screen stuff too. I used to have a green screen behind me, and I would stand right above in front of the slides. But then the production, it's just so much work, and it's so much easier to just slap the webcam right in front of the page and go, I'm going to churn out quantity so at least you can see me as I'm talking. But yeah, someday I'll probably get back to green screen, but not today with this polished concrete behind me.
Oh, I love your green screen stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it adds a lot.
Yeah.
Edwin Sarmiento's in particular is really amazing. Christopher follows up with, I'll be sporting my Deadlock Rebels t-shirt one of those days. I'll try and get a pic with you. It's funny. I had just seen a video about that video game. Can't remember if it was Red Dead Redemption or what it was. I don't play video games, but I like to, every now and then I'll watch Twitch and like see other people playing games. And I had seen the woman who's the Deadlock Rebels leader, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool, Deadlock Rebels. It's kind of like a SQL Server thing. But then I saw your shirt, so you post a shirt on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. All right, so we might as well go to the. Do you play that? You know what game it is? Because it's not Fallout.
No. I mean, I had kids, and like all my video games just went down the tubes. And that was that.
Candyland.
Oh, no. There is no Candyland in our house. That is an abomination of all random chance games. It is awful. It is terrible.
Richie's a board
I've watched board games on Twitch, but video games,
Yeah. So, Jay, we'll go ahead and get into the technical questions now and see what kind of problems we can stump y'all with or answer for y'all this week. Feel free to go into the question and answer pane and go to webinar, and you can ask whatever questions you want. We go through first come, first serve, and whenever we run out, that's when we drop the microphone and go back to watching webcasts. Jason asks, do you have any suggestions on storing phone numbers? Wow. I was thinking big int versus varchar, like say 15. Do I need to deal with international support? Small int x field for optional extensions. Any thoughts?
This is a Richie question for sure.
Yeah, use character fields because at some point you're going to have to do international, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't know.
Really?
Character fields, and then what you want to do is that you want to format that not in the database but on the way in through the app. And the app does whatever format, so it's consistent at the very least. Because otherwise, you don't want to have like all these numbers and then just not have any format, because then you'll have all these different formats all over the place. And then your app doing all this work to reformat it. But scrub it on the way in, have it a consistent format, store it in a varchar. Because you won't be doing any math on it, so why an int?
Yeah.
Leading zeros are a problem. And then the other thing you end up having to worry about is commas, because in some autodialer software you need commas to wait for a specific period of time.
Yeah.
Terrible things I've learned. Terrible. Sean
Not something
says,
I even thought about.
no. And I was going to make phone number jokes when he first asked. I'm like, what is this? You putting your black book inside a database? What's going on here?
I mean, you don't, Brent?
No. I'm married. I don't even know my own phone number. I'm just like, honey. Sean asks, is there a way to send unique metadata with queries that doesn't bloat the plan cache? I'd like to send a value of where in my code a query is being called from. I have forced parameterization turned on, but most queries are already parameterized. It would be nice if there was a flag to turn on or off comment stripping before creating plans.
I don't even understand the question.
Oh, I think
Unique metadata with queries.
I think
just documentation in it? I mean, it comes across. It's in there.
I'm gonna whip out SQL Server Management Studio because I don't think it works exactly the way you think it does, forced parameterization. And now when you run plan cache queries like SP Blitz cache, that's going to only show the parameterized string in there. So we're going to pop into Stack Overflow 2013. I'm going to set forced parameterization at the database level. So parameterization, let's go into forced and say OK. Let's set a new query. And I'm going to say, put in a comment. I'm going to say, hi, Mom. And then select star from DBO users where display name equals Richie Rump. Or display name equals Tara Kaiser. Neither of which are their real names on Stack Overflow. But
Joris will be in there.
No, I'm Tara Kaiser on Stack Overflow.
I'm not.
Are you real? Oh, no. Yeah, I think you guys might be thinking DBA.Stack Exchange. But,
Oh, well, no, I should be.
yeah,
Joris.
Stack.
Yeah.
All right, so here we'll do Richie.
I had to ask, I think, a PowerShell question a few years ago, so I'm on the other side here.
So now here's that. If I go query include actual execution plan and I go run it, in the execution plan it doesn't look like it's there. And even if you go into the edit query text, which is freaking broken in SSMS, this drives me crazy. But if I go into SP Blitz cache and I go look at the plan cache, hopefully it's going to be up in that list. Here we go. So here it looks like your comment isn't included, but if I go click on the query plan, it's going to be inside here if I edit the query text. See, as you can see here, the comment is completely gone. What the hell? It should have preserved the comment inside there. I would have been sure it would have preserved the comment inside.
I certainly see comments when I open up people's plans.
Yeah, even with
Maybe it's only store procedures.
Oh, well, store procedures will definitely do it. I'm gonna gamble and move it. I'm gonna try moving it in over here.
And I just looked. My name over there is just Tara. I'm surprised. I'll have to change it.
Oh. Let's free the plan cache. And then let's try it again just to see, execute, and then run SP Blitz cache and see if it doesn't show up here either. I'm going to be pissed. It doesn't show up here either. Oh, Sean. So Sean says, oh, no, that's a different thing. Oh, there is. Oh, we've already blogged about this even. How does this even happen? Sean, if we blogged about it, why are you making us look stupid on the live webcast?
Because it's so easy, Brent.
It's so easy. Copy, paste. I didn't know Hi Mom was a movie. Oh, Kendra blogged about it. Oh, okay. So, all right. So, no, in that case, I would read whatever Kendra wrote and then pay attention there. Sadly, we don't
consider it gold if Kendra wrote it.
Yeah, it's true. She's way smarter than we are. Let's see here. Next up, August says, hi, Brent. I noticed that you have included OLA scripts in your DBA first aid bundle. I was wondering how I manage version control between checking your updates and OLAs. By the way, your great post, Brent, is amazing. Someone's trolling us. So we don't include OLA scripts. We don't include OLA scripts at all. We take a dependency.
That'd be news. I was just about to go check. I was like, really?
No. We don't want to manage that kind of version control either. Tara wrote SP database restore, which relies on OLA scripts, but we don't ship them with our first responder kit. Jason, throwing back to his question about how to store phone numbers, says he was thinking about using big int because it would be smaller in terms of size. Yeah, but your problems will be larger.
Yep.
Let's see. Mark asks, how do you think artificial intelligence will affect DBA jobs in the future? Also, will DBAs need to learn more languages than just SQL? I know you dislike PowerShell. We'll go each through this. So how artificial intelligence will affect DBA jobs in the future? Tara, you first.
I don't think it's going to affect us. I mean, maybe if there's someone starting out new, they're in their 20s and they're becoming a DBA, we're going to retire, in the next 20 years or so. I really don't think it's going to affect us completely, but certainly a lot of people will have moved to the cloud, and you do have some changes happening for you, but it still takes a human being to be able to look at things. I mean, even like Blitz Cache, which has a lot of logic built into to help you find things, you still have to open it up and dig into it. And I don't know that AI will ever, at least for the stuff that we work on, would ever be smart enough to really do what a really good DBA can do.
There was, for a while there were people who were trying to build something that would automated test your T-SQL to make sure it was the same after changes. Their goal was to have tools like artificial intelligence tune a query the way a DBA would and make sure that it returns the same results afterwards. And those projects keep stumbling all over the place too. Richie, how about you?
I think we've been asking this question for the last 40 years or so. And every time it comes up, people can say, well, we're going to lose our jobs, but the technology keeps improving, and yet we still have our jobs. Now our jobs have changed a bit, right? We're not managing so much at the detail level. We're a little bit higher up, but it's going to be the same thing. We're going to manage maybe something at the higher up, or maybe we're going to transition to something different. But yeah, we're not going to be losing our jobs. It's just going to be something else, something more important that's going to come on, and we're just going to jump on it. I mean, even when we're working with Aurora, which is pretty much hands off. I mean, we really hadn't, even to spin it up, even to get it going, is just click, 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 boom, and all of a sudden we have a cluster in the cloud. There's still stuff in it we have to know and we have to get into because we kept crashing it. There you go.
I think it's going to keep fixing smaller problems. That we're always fixing harder problems these days. Man, I would just love for database servers to back themselves up. It feels like, is that so much to ask? Could you really
look
not?
Good. Once you back that thing up.
Yeah. Why can't, when the SQL Server gets installed, why can't there be a wizard that says, where would you like your backups to go and how long would you like to keep them? That seems like genuine intelligence to me. It's not really that hard, but it's a question of resources.
Actually, the cloud does that.
The cloud does it.
Yeah,
but it's not artificial intelligence. It's just a freaking wizard.
Yeah, that's right.
Before it, step through it. It's really not that hard. But people are still sticking with a whole lot of on-premises databases, and the stuff just isn't getting any easier. Even when you go to the cloud, there's a lot of this, okay, now I need to do a restore. I need developers to start provisioning out restores. I need to manage the security of data. I need to manage what parts of data get masks, what parts do not. There's things I get excited about for AI to cover, but it's just not covering everything. It's not even close.
Yeah, right now I don't think there's any company's going to say, oh yeah, wait, let's go ahead and put all this effort into all these little AI projects, and it's not going to increase our bottom line whatsoever.
And really, if you're building all of that, it's not cutting your cost today. AI is still way too expensive. Try and go find someone off the street who's willing to work for nothing as an AI researcher. It's not going to happen. Yeah, another question in there too, which is what languages will a DBA have to learn? If I was a production DBA today, if you made me go back and get a production DBA full-time job where I was managing multiple servers, I'd learn PowerShell in a heartbeat, not because I want to, but because I think I would have to. In our weirdo jobs as consultants, we're really brought in to kind of resuscitate one server at a time so we don't end up using it. But I do believe that it's a really cool, interesting language for those of you who have to manage armies of servers. I just don't want that work myself.
All right, that's for the DBA side, right? But if you're on the database development side, it should be Python, right? The Python is a language you should know, not PowerShell, because I don't even think PowerShell is a language, but it's Python. Learn Python if you're a developer.
And I've certainly written a few PowerShell modules over the years, and I just learn it. I relearn it every single time I have to write a new one, and I just Google the hell out of it until it starts working.
That's what we also call artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Although I have taken a PowerShell training class a few years ago.
Yeah, it's hard.
I mean, PowerShell training classes coming up, don't we, Brent?
We do. So Drew, and here it is. It's on the slide. Well, hands-on labs, and it's specifically for DBAs too. It teaches you. I've gone through it too as well, and teaches you how to accomplish specific tasks that DBAs need to accomplish, which is what I think is much more important in learning. I don't want to learn like internals that I'm never going to map to my day-to-day job. I want to learn something that's going to help me do better tomorrow. And that's what Drew's stuff is focused on.
I just saw the slide where it says, it uses hands-on labs. Is that the virtual machines from AWS also?
Yeah, exact same thing.
Oh, awesome. I didn't realize we had any guest speakers that were doing the hands-on labs also.
I try to encourage everybody to do it. Like any class that has labs, the students seem to retain better when it's a practical topic. It's less about when it's a theoretical topic.
Yeah.
Gordon asks, a problem with my SSMS initiated backup is it's timing out after less than a minute. It had to do with the connection's execution timeout being set to 45 seconds. Why did the backup timeout since the backup had already started?
And why is anybody changing the Management Studio timeout setting? I mean, that's one of the benefits of being able to run queries in Management Studios. It by default does not time out. I mean, the answer to his question is because it's basically issuing a kill command. You've canceled the query when the timeout happens.
That would be bad.
It just seems odd to have changed that setting.
I'm wondering if maybe somebody didn't do it to say, oh, if I have a query that runs away, I want it to automatically reel back in. But man, that's dangerous. Ooh, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm also a big fan of not doing backups via SSMS. I would much rather kick them off via agent jobs, even if it's a one-time thing, just so that I can make sure that agent will keep running the thing and it'll succeed to completion. That's probably not a real phrase. Augusto asks, how can we measure the overhead of transparent data encryption in terms of CPU on the SQL Server?
What kind of load testing do you have? This needs to be done in an environment before you hit production. Apply a production load to a test server and see what happens. How much, hopefully it's production-like hardware. Check what your system needs.
And when you don't know how to do a load test, because a lot of us don't, just start with index rebuilds, backups, and checkdb, things that you would usually do in a maintenance plan, and you can look at the differences between those while they run.
Yeah, good luck on those backups. you get no compression, right, with TDE.
So there was a switch. So that's in, I can't remember what service pack they came out with, and I want to say it was 2016, where it all of a sudden gave you compression on backups. And after that, there were like 6 cumulative updates in a row that fixed corrupt backup issues. It was so bad. Whatever you do, don't enable this without CU, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. Well, plus two, the worst of it is that your backups succeeded, but you just couldn't restore from them.
Oh, wow. And how many people are restoring, doing those test restores? I mean, I always did, but I don't think very many people in the world are testing their backups.
Not nearly enough. Not enough people in the world take their backups.
Yeah, true. We know that.
Tishal asks, is it possible to start SQL Server without tempdb or provide a different drive on the fly?
What world of hurt is Tishal in right now? certainly you can, from the command line. There's SQL Server.exe, and there's a switch that you can use to have minimal stuff start up, and I think tempdb can be excluded. Okay, yeah, wow, look at that. Canal's got a...
Of course he does. I remember this.
Yes.
There you go. /F. Minimal configuration, that's what it is. And then you can alter the tempdb location from there. So what Tishal probably did was alter and set the wrong location for a path that doesn't exist. Tishal, I've been there too.
Yeah. Yep.
I live in the cloud. I haven't been there.
JH says, I'm trying to track logins to a particular database. I'm trying to figure out if that database is still being used. Is a server-side SQL trace pretty much the T-SQL example of the profiler GUI that just runs on the SQL server?
I'm not quite sure what JH is asking, because with the server-side SQL trace, you have to select which events you want to do. I mean, it's very tedious work. So I usually use profiler first. It gives me the template after I select all my events, and then I script it out, and then I'm good to go with the server-side trace. But you have to add your events. Server-side trace doesn't give you anything. You have to add things to it.
Yeah, say that you want to replay exactly what happened. And I'm going to do a terrible trace here just to show as an example. And then, yeah, sure, whatever, untitled one is fine. And run, and then immediately stop. If I go File, Templates, no, it's not Templates, Save As, Trace Template? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Trace Template, yeah. Boy, it's been a long time since.
Oh, wait, no, that's a template. No. Go back to, it's under File. It's definitely under File. Yes. Already export. Save as. Yeah, there it goes. Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Now let's see if we can open it. Who the hell knows where this went?
Yeah, I was going to say it.
There we go. Woo! So yeah, so then you can save that as a server-side trace. But is it the same overhead if that's what you're asking? It's overhead. It's not as bad as you're running it on your local machine in Tucson, Arizona, when your production SQL server's in Buffalo, New York. You know, like trying to go across data centers with huge latency. It's a lower latency. If you got to do a trace, this is a better way to do it. The other thing I would do is, I don't know if you can do in a login trigger. I don't know if you can, well, you know what, it wouldn't matter. And you know, JH, I don't think yours is going to matter either. Because the problem is are you really going to be sure that, say, the Stack Overflow 2010 database isn't used? If someone could go into, say, tempdb, and they can run a query like select star from Stack Overflow 2010 DBO users, even though I'm not logged into that database, I can still run that query. So I don't know that a trace is really going to get you there.
Yeah, I would probably just disable logins in that database rather than taking the database offline, just disabling it, and then I would imagine that the applications have some kind of alerting in place to notify, they've got some kind of problem.
I love it. That's even better than, I was going to say set it to read only, but that's bad. Yeah, I like your idea better. Sheila says, we have a mass run, and as soon as she says that, all I can think of is like the video chicken run, you know, where these chickens are running for the bird.
I was thinking like a marathon, and we have all these little, you know, jobs just in corrals, and everybody is just trying to get through that one start just to get going.
That's because Richie works with our serverless applications where we have thousands all of a sudden of jobs that are trying to, or Amazon server, Postgres server.
At the same time, yeah.
We have a mass run with high executions every night at the same time. We have no consistency with the number of claims per second that get processed during that time. CPU and memory are all consistent from one night to the next, and I'm gathering wait stats every 10 minutes now via the first aid kit. What should I look for? Ooh. I would, oh God, there's so many interesting things here. I would probably start with, when you say our first aid kit, it's one thing to gather the stats. The other thing you want to do is use the Power BI dashboard to go check and see the wait stats over time. Richie's getting a face. Are you giving that face because you can't believe that I said the words Power BI, or what are you saying?
I still can't believe you actually use Power BI.
I know, right? And like enough that I use it in my browser now. I have an Azure account to use it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Kind of
so easy. Brent Ozar can't use it
and enjoys it. Yeah. Now it has more bugs than a mass run of whatever. It's buggy, but and it's missing tons of features. But I still like it a lot. So this is where I would start with, is graphing things out with the First Responder Kit's Power BI dashboard, and then you can see what wait stats look different during that time and tackle whatever your top wait type is. If it's maybe it's blocking, for example, and that's why you can't get more throughput. That's a common one. Thread pool weights. There could be all kinds of things that would get you. All right, well, that's all the questions that we have this week at Office Hours. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us, and we will see you all next week at Office Hours.